Welcome back, friends, to another Life Lift lesson and into our series 30 Life Anchors from the last 30 years. I'm super pumped to share with you Life Anchor number 22 today. And it's one that you won't want to miss because all of us go through suffering. All of us go through challenging times and heartache and questions of why things are allowed, and where is God? Is God good if he allows hard things, suffering, loss, heartache? Will life ever be good again? Might be a question that you're wrestling with right now. And I want to bring hope and strength to fortify your faith in the wrestling and in the journey. So today, friends, I present to you Life Anchor number 22, which is this: life may not feel good or look good, but God works all things together for good for his children with no exceptions. God is always good, no matter how hard or bitter life becomes. Life may not look or feel good. That might be where you're at right now. And it's hard to see beyond the suffering, beyond the present moment, especially when it's excruciating and things continue to get worse. But here's what I've found, friends. God works all things together for good for his children with no exceptions. My life is living proof of that. There have been many seasons where life has not looked or felt good. But I've found that God is faithful, and where I put my faith will either make or break me, because in suffering there is always a choice. And I just want to encourage you today that there's a purpose in the pain. There's a purpose in the process. And where I put my faith will make or break me. If I put my faith in what I can see and what's going wrong, I'm going to become very disoriented and discouraged and probably bitter. But if I choose to look beyond what is seen to what is unseen and trust in God through the process, I find new strength. I find clarity. I find hope. I find a peace that surpasses all understanding when I put my faith in what God says. And today I want to see you anchored in what God says in Romans chapter 8, verse 18 and 28 through 30. Paul wrote this to the church: "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified." You have a faithful Father that knows the beginning to the end, who has a purpose in the process, who knows what is best. And that is the hardest thing, because everything within us in suffering screams, "God, why? Why are you allowing this? Life doesn't feel or look good. Like, why?" And that question is such a derailer from the purpose, I've found. Instead of asking what? God, what are you trying to do within me? What do you want to do within me? What are you wanting to birth within me? And here's what I've found, friends. Faith is like a muscle, and it's critical in these times. And suffering invites us to exercise that muscle of faith. And just for clarity, faith according to the Hebrews definition of faith, being sure of what I hope for and certain of what I do not see. Faith is all about what I can't see, what I can't control, what I can't rationalize. It's being sure, not just a possibility, but sure of what I hope for, that God will be true to his word, that he will follow through, that he's doing something in the suffering. And did you catch that after Romans 8:28, many of you probably have heard that verse, he works all things together for good. But what is he after? What is God after? He says in verse 29 that for those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. Being conformed to the image of Jesus, suffering is absolutely required. Jesus was the suffering servant. So to be conformed to his image means I will suffer. So not seeing suffering as a surprise is critical, like Peter said in 1 Peter 4. I encourage you to take a moment, open the word to 1 Peter chapter 4. God is very clear. Do not be surprised at the fiery trials you're going through as though something strange. And he talks about this journey of developing our faith. And friends, our faith is most critical, most valuable, and has the greatest potential to grow in the midst of suffering. And I don't want to see you waste the suffering you're going through, because God's after something so much more valuable than being comfortable. He's after doing a deeper work within us to strengthen, fortify, and conform us. There's a process, and that process is painful, but it has rich purpose to be conformed to the image of his Son. And Jesus' purpose, his life reveals that the purpose of suffering is always glory. As Easter is coming here, the end of April, I am so excited to reflect that his life of suffering that led him to the cross was not the end of the story. His death and his burial was the setup for something so much more profound and something so life-changing for all who put their faith in him. It was the triumph of his resurrection. Glory is always the purpose of the Father at the end of suffering. But the key is, will I suffer through whatever I'm going through in faith that God is working it all together for good? And that is something that's developed in that waiting room of suffering. In the pain, God is after developing something so beautiful that's worth so much. That faith is being developed, friends, and it's not pleasant. It doesn't look or feel good, but God is working all things together for good. And I just want to close with a picture here, an analogy that life is like a puzzle. We only have certain pieces, and at the beginning of the puzzle, or even in the process of putting a puzzle together, there's missing pieces. And God is the master puzzle builder. He's putting together pieces that we could never bring together. He's forging a story of his glory, a tapestry of his grace. He's developing something so beautiful, and it's so much bigger than us, friends. Our suffering isn't about us. Our suffering is to help us die to ourselves, because self-focus leads to misery. And Jesus wants to set us free. So he allows us to go through suffering, and he's with us. He's able to empathize. He knows he's with us in the journey. As the suffering servant, he went through the greatest amount of suffering. So we're never alone. His presence is our comfort. His presence is our strength. But the question is, are we tapping into that? Or are we trying to avoid suffering at all costs? Friends, I want to encourage you with all of my heart to lean into him and to lean into his word. What does God say in the midst of suffering? Because that's something that will anchor us, something we can hold on to in the midst of everything shaking and everything being uncertain, as suffering often shakes us up and creates total uncertainty, in the midst of it, we can cling to an anchor. We have a hope that anchors us. It's his word. And I want to encourage you to meditate with me on Romans 8:18 through and 28 through 30. There's so much packed in here of God's heart and his purpose. And to take heart, to be encouraged, because as Jesus' life is living proof, the suffering does end and God produces something so beautiful. There is a glory that far outweighs it all, like Paul said to the church of Corinth. There's something so much more beautiful. He's working it all together for good. But the question is, will I believe him? Will I put my faith in that? Or will I put my faith in what I see? Friends, let's put our faith in what he has said. Because I, with Paul, agree. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Something so much more magnificent and beautiful is coming, friends. So take heart, be encouraged, and let's press into him and receive a faith that's unshakable. Until next time, onwards and upwards with grace and grace.